Hi guys, it's David James from Business Growth Digital Marketing, and in today's show, I am graced with the blessed presence of Sujan Patel. He is the general manager and the co-founder of Web Profits in the US. He is also the general manager and co-founder of Ramp Ventures, a SaaS-based business, and leading several SaaS-based businesses. He has led the way for several billion-dollar companies. Yes, I said that right. That's $1 billion companies such as Expedia, Salesforce, and LinkedIn. He's also been named a top growth hacker by the likes of Inc., MSNBC, SFGate, and Fox News. He's known for his out-of-the-box strategies that helps businesses grow and succeed across several different digital marketing channels. Let me introduce you to the man himself. Thank you for being on the show. Sujan, welcome aboard.
Hey, thanks for having me. Very excited to chat with you today.
That's fantastic. So, I know who you are, and I've been following you online, especially with quite a few of the postings you've done on different platforms. Uh, for those people who aren't so familiar with you, can you just give a brief introduction about yourself and what you've been doing, and yeah, just the amazing man that you are.
Yeah, so I mean, what I do a lot of poking and prodding. I'm generally pretty curious, so I'm always testing something or kind of a theory, or doing something very adventurous. That kind of comes from my personal life. I run Ramp Ventures and Web Profits, and Ramp Ventures actually has five businesses, so five SaaS companies. So I keep quite busy with work, and that's just because I generally love it. Um, and I've got to work in my 14 years of digital marketing. I got to work with a lot of fun companies, cool companies, like Airbnb, Expedia. These are some sexier companies. The more fun I've had with is with a lot of the smaller or like what unknown companies, and you'll never hear about them, like a SaaS payroll company that we've been able to 3x over the last 10 months. So I love working with the underdogs, and that's kind of my fun sweet spot because it's hard, and hard or industry, or interesting, or even very very competitive, which means I have to do something even better.
I love what you said, like working with the underdogs, and like that's something that resonates with me and a lot of other like SEOs and digital marketers as well. Uh, like, how do you find the creative process with working with underdogs? Because they normally have quite a few challenges, but then there's a lot more rewards as well. So, like, how do you find working with the underdogs?
Look, I think if they have the right mentality,
Hmm.
or the right expectations, it could work. It works out really, really well.
Hmm.
What I usually find is that the underdogs are generally smarter, savvier,
Hmm.
and willing to work harder. And what I like about and I love about underdogs in general is that, and the way, not just underdogs, but the era we're in terms of marketing, is that you have a kind of a renaissance in the marketing industry where things are changing. Things like Facebook ads are kind of equivalent to AdWords now in terms of like market adoption, and new channels like Snapchat ads. We're working with a few clients with that, um, and new channels that are emerging all the time. Um, and so it's a really fun kind of day that we're in, but also it helps level the playing field. Like Airbnb is trying to figure out um, Snapchat just like the small nobody travel site, right?
Yeah.
And so like both people are trying to figure it out, and it's really who does it better. And I think better means who does it faster, right? So
Yeah.
those types of things matter. So we're kind of in this age where like it's speed to execution.
Yeah. I was about to say exactly the same thing because I work with a lot of small to medium-sized businesses, and I've worked with a lot of bigger brands as well. And I find that when you work with bigger companies that have processes and guidelines, it can be quite challenging to really move things quite quickly and to execute. Uh, yeah, so it's really great that you brought that up. Now, like I said before in the introduction, that you're really well known for your out-of-the-box strategies, and one of the topics that will be great to cover with you today is content ideation. In the industry at the moment, there's a lot of talk about content marketing and like the marketing in the traditional sense that we know, it's changed a lot. And there's some people who are still stuck in the old in the old mindset, and then there's people who are just starting to grasp the new concept, especially around the need to produce content. So I just wanted to ask you about your approach to content ideation and also trying to get people on board with the importance and influence of content ideation.
Yeah, so look, it's ideation is the single most important thing in terms of content marketing and blogging's effectiveness.
Hmm.
Not just to effectiveness to convert users, customers, or visitors into customers, but its effectiveness to get traffic and get awareness. Most of the time, I can tell you, people come up with bad ideas and they
Hmm.
don't work.
Yeah,
Bad ideas with the best promotion still means bad results.
yeah.
And so ideation is a very, very important thing. I think too many people there's a lot of mistakes I see over and over again. Too many mistakes.
Hmm.
One is they talk about themselves. You talk about
Yeah.
what you're doing. Who cares? Nobody cares about you. The whole point of you writing content is so people find you.
Hmm.
So focus on education and
Yep.
training and bettering your users. Number two is focus on real problems, not what you
Hmm.
think are real problems. Focus on what your users have problems with. Again, not
Yep.
about you, but like if you are a travel site,
Hmm.
think about not just like writing about cheap ways to travel, 10 things to do,
Yep.
but think about like if you're in, if you're going to like Spain,
Hmm.
what are, not just what are the most awesome places to visit,
Hmm.
what are the most authentic, like what are the best restaurants for gluten-free
Yep.
recipe or like people with a gluten intolerance or something a little bit more unique, like because there's already 1,000, 10 things to do in X place, right?
Yep.
Or come up with something a bit more original.
Yep.
um, and lastly, um, if you can't come up with something, or don't write content regularly just because you think writing content regularly is a thing. Writing good content, great content regularly is a thing. So
Mm.
first and foremost, focus on coming up with what is actually good or great.
Yep.
Um, and if you can't, don't like that means you should maybe hire somebody. Maybe you should, go get external help
Hmm.
because everything else will fail if the article is not great.
Yep. I completely agree with that, and we've seen that with like several different campaigns and even other people's sites that we've audited as well. Uh, Now, one of the things that we always hear about when it comes to content strategies is, oh yeah, it's easy to come up with like great ideas if you're in the travel industry. You know, you can talk about all these magical places that you go and visit and whatnot, but then if you're a business that's in self-storage or that you do crane hire or like concreting, then people are quick to dismiss, what you can actually do. I personally believe that there's always untapped opportunity if you really uh, dive in deep and you try to figure out what's inside that rabbit hole. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, I think it's easy to make excuses
Hmm.
in general, right? So like,
Yeah.
whether it's hard, easy, whatever, you still got to do it. So
Yeah.
like coming up with excuses doesn't help. Number
Hmm.
two is I think it's actually harder the other way around. And
Hmm.
a lot of people don't realize it because they're only looking at the very surface level of things. Think about travel.
Yeah.
Travel is very, very competitive. It's very, very crowded. It's been around forever.
Hmm.
Um, it if you Google anything on traveling to whatever flights to whatever, there's something written and it's something great already written.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about it. So I would say writing about travel is much more difficult because it's hard to come up with a new or unique idea.
Hmm.
The concrete pourer or like a concrete or construction business
Yeah.
is hard too, but you can actually borrow a lot of ideas from other successful businesses
Yeah.
or other successful industries and um, apply it to your business. Now, the thing is, the concrete space or the construction space doesn't have as much competition. So you creating anything at all
Mm-hmm.
anything that's not about yourself is considered a good article. So the bar is really low.
Yeah.
The next thing is that your customer, your potential customer,
Mm-hmm.
are still human beings. They
Yeah.
still have problems. They may have the same problems that an office supply industry or like office or electronics customer has, an enterprise business has. So think about like one level deeper, like who's your customer? What kind of problems do they have in their day?
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you, like, at Web Profits, we target VP of marketing, CMO, CEO as
Mm-hmm.
our three different personas.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I found is um, VP of marketing, CMOs, they're in conversations with internal departments like support or customer success. And
Mm-hmm.
so we created content around customer advocacy. We created content um, on customer delight, things that are not really what we do as a business, but
Mm-hmm.
those are two things that a VP of marketing or CMO would actually have a conversation about internally. Another thing is we don't do anything, or we actually didn't do much of this. Now we started to, but we asked our customers or our email list and our audience, hey, what do you want? What are you most excited about? What do you want to know more about?
Mm-hmm.
What's a black box
Yeah.
to you? And everyone's like, Snapchat. This was last year.
Yeah.
And so everyone's like, I don't know what the heck this Snapchat thing is. I don't really get it. Or, some people got it, but they didn't figure out how to use it for business.
Mm-hmm.
Then we created a Snapchat guide,
Mm-hmm.
and it worked really well. At the time, we didn't actually do Snapchat. We didn't actually have a plan to do it. But we did it because it helped our users. So if you think about your construction business or concrete pouring business,
Mm-hmm.
um, ask your users a question.
Yeah.
Logistics, dealing with management. One of the things that everybody has a problem with is like it is the emotional, the human behavior side of things. So go one level deeper,
Mm-hmm.
and think about that.
Yeah, like I really liked what you said about, people, they do tend to make excuses. It's easy to make excuses, uh, but what you also did was you focus on really listening to like people, listening to the audience, and really focusing on the audience. Not getting the people to focus on themselves or their own business, which is very easy for clients to do. Uh, it's something that I've been trying to convey a lot to new clients who are unfamiliar with the content marketing side of things. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on how do you stress that importance of making sure that you focus on what the audience is saying or what the audience is doing, and really getting the insights to drive the strategies going forward.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I do for clients, and I do a bad job for myself, to be honest,
Hmm.
is when somebody signs up for your email list, you
Yeah,
send them like a the best of
yeah,
email, and you say, hey, here's some of the best articles.
hmm,
One, you're leading with your best foot forward. Number two, the second email you send should be something like, hey, what topics are you most interested in? A
yeah,
question.
yeah,
Open up a dialogue. Now, it doesn't have to be a dialogue with an email you back, but like maybe you send them a Google form,
hmm,
right? So one of my SaaS companies, we're an email outreach software,
yeah,
and we have customers that are like small business owners. We have like this what is it called? Like Toastmasters Club, who just kind of uses our tool to send emails to the members. We
hmm,
have salespeople. We have like HR. We have things like everyone under the sun, podcasters. And like, what the heck do you guys do? I don't get it. I can't come up with content if I don't get it, if I
yeah,
don't get what you do. So we do this. Like, hey, we ask as soon as you sign up, like, what are you using Mailshake to do?
yeah,
What are you actually, like, what's your profession? And we get a good sample size, and now we can say, here's how you use it. And so there's the what you do, and then
hmm,
there's the we can come up with content and how to do it better, right?
yeah,
As long as we understand the what the customers do. So, and guess what? If you don't have any customers,
hmm,
you could still survey people. I remember Ethan Shaw, and he does a good job at this. Is like he drives PPC traffic, Facebook AdWords, to a landing page about a potential product or idea he has,
yeah,
and what it really is like, hey, we're building this, answer this survey. And he pretty much surveys people and he gets feedback from people.
Yeah.
That's the same thing you can do for your blog, but you really have to ask questions. Another thing you can do is look at your competitors, look at everybody in the space doing a good job or a bad job. And it starts with a Google search, right? Just like Google top X blogs, right?
Yeah.
It's like that easy, and you'll probably find like 50. Go figure out what people are saying in the comments. Go figure out what they're not writing about, or what their weaknesses are, and go solve that.
Yeah. Now, one of the other things I wanted to touch on was actually demonstrating value when it comes to content ideation and when it comes to content marketing. Now, anyone who's an expert will recognize that, it's easy, well, not easy, but it's valuable with getting more qualified leads, getting more qualified traffic, you get more exposure. But it does take a bit of patience, to make sure that everything works well with the campaign. But one of the challenges I know we found on this side, and I don't know if it's because it's the Australian market or if it's just how certain business owners are in general, they are chasing for the quick win, and a lot of the time the content marketing strategy or the content ideation strategy, it does take time. Uh, like how do you manage that challenge, or how do you overcome that kind of challenge?
Yeah, a lot of people, because of the hype,
Mm-hmm.
have a misunderstanding of this time frame.
Yeah.
Content marketing and speed don't go together.
Yeah.
Content marketing, just like SEO, takes time. 6 months, 12 months, 2 years.
Yes.
I found 1 year to be the turning point.
Yeah.
And so then you look at, okay, how do I measure success? My main measurement for success is mentions and links back.
Yeah.
So when my name, my company gets mentioned,
Yes.
and the more I get mentioned, that's a sign of success. Traffic is number 2 if I'm getting traffic.
Yeah.
Number 3 is some sort of call to action, whether it's an email opt-in, whether it's a sign up for a product. Try both.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to work best, or even like sign up for the newsletter, or maybe you offer something to download. That could work. And then remember, when you get people in an email, set up a drip, a simple drip, like 2-3 email drip, to get them to convert into a customer.
Yeah.
And so, the way you measure this monthly is how many emails addresses are you getting? How many of those emails are converting? On the B2B side, you don't actually need that many.
Yeah.
To work. And so what I recommend is don't invest in content marketing or SEO if you want short-term wins. It's just not going to happen. It will never happen. I had a call with a potential client the other day, and they're like, hey, we want 10,000 leads coming from this. We're doing influencer marketing. We're doing this, that, and the other. And our other channels are driving 3,000 to 5,000 new trials a month. And I'm like, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, what are you doing on content marketing? Oh, nothing. We want to just get started.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, you know what? It's going to take you 2 years to get to 10,000.
Yeah.
But you should either decide not to invest or not to treat this like a AdWords campaign, a Facebook campaign. You turn those off. You turn off influencer marketing. Nobody talks about you unless you built up momentum over time.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with content marketing. I'll tell you the 3 stages I've seen of content marketing. Year 1. At the end of year 1, you're like, wow, this is actually working. You're kind of I've always seen this. Even though I've done this for hundreds of clients, I'm like, awesome. There's that, here's the bubble, and it bursts, and now all these leads are flowing through, or you're getting revenue. It's a positive ROI essentially, right?
Yeah.
So pace towards break-even positive ROI. And you start to get people referencing your content, people linking to it, people converting. You have a couple articles that are winners. And remember, year 1, and if you look at anyone's blog, you look at the top websites blog, it's not like they get thousands of articles that get all the traffic, or hundreds of articles. It's usually 3 or 5.
Yeah.
And so you just need your whole year, you're looking for 3 to 5 wins.
Yeah.
Fuck, you're only looking for one win. I'm not so sure if I
Yeah.
was supposed to curse, but like
No, it's
it's
fine. I
it's
love that
late here.
passion, man. Yeah, bring it on.
Yeah, you just need one or two articles to work, and that's
Yeah.
it. Like we have um, at Web Profits, we have like two or three articles.
Yeah.
My YouTube channel, we get about 6 or 7 thousand views, or I get about 6 7 thousand views a month,
Yeah.
and that's not a lot. I'm still working towards more and more,
Hmm.
but it's one video that's
Yeah.
like 85% of the views,
Yeah.
and it's how to start your career in digital marketing.
Yeah.
So what do? Like I create more videos to try to get another win.
Yeah.
I know not every one of them is going to be a win,
Hmm.
and over time you're going to have these really big wins,
Yeah.
and then you're going to have your articles that like chug along, but
Yeah.
you put those charts together and now you have a chart. So that's year two,
Yeah.
right? Year two is now you found what worked. Go do more of it.
Yeah.
Stop wasting your time on all the other crap.
Hmm.
And you don't know what's crap until you kind of figure it out.
Yeah.
And so year two, at the end of year two, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe how well this is working. At
Hmm.
the end of year two, it's like if you were to stop, it
Hmm.
would still work better. You've
Yeah.
created like momentum enough to where like it will work.
Yeah.
Year three, you're just like, what the heck is happening? I'm getting calls to be on TV.
Yeah.
And you're getting calls and you're getting inbound requests for whether it's interviews like this,
Yeah.
if you're doing it for yourself or you're getting more customers, you're getting more referenced. People think you're bigger than you actually are.
Hmm.
And this is what happens when you're consistent with content marketing.
Yeah.
Guys like Gary Vee,
Yeah.
even Neil Patel, like not even, but Neil Patel,
Mm.
Tim Ferriss.
Yep.
Tim Ferriss has been doing content marketing or creating content since like 2002,
Yeah.
2003, I think.
Yeah.
Tucker Max, like 99,
Hmm.
2000. I remember reading his stuff when I was in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, now he gets quoted more times in a week or a month than you would want in a year or two.
Hmm.
Um, and But that's all because of consistency. You notice those guys haven't stopped.
Yeah.
Gary Vee's first few videos, I know he says this better than me, but he has like 5 views on his first videos, right?
Yeah.
But that's 15 years ago, but he kept doing it, and so
Yeah.
it's all compounding results. Remember, it's compounding. It's like a savings account, and it
Yeah.
sucks, but it is what it is. Well, actually, more like a 401k.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have that. Like, what do you guys call them there? Super,
Oh yeah,
right?
superannuation. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But like I've noticed as well that like there aren't any shortcuts. Now like the stuff that I've done, I'm a bit like you, where I've got like one video on my main business channel, and that one drives probably 90% of the traffic, and then all the rest, if I'm lucky, I get, between 1 to 100 views. It just depends on the video content. And then I've got another channel which is just, a fun general channel, like to do with travel blogging, ironically. And
Yeah.
and then we had one video that just blew up, got onto the front page of Reddit, and I think it's over 2 million views now, and like every other video that was before it, it got between probably 10 to 100 views. But it was just, doing that consistency. And I'm not sure if you are a fan of Ed Sheeran, but he said something that was really interesting. He said that like, when he was doing music, and he just started to consistently create and produce new songs. And he said all the first songs he wrote were all rubbish, and then he just got to a point where all the crap went out of his system, and then he started writing all these
Yeah.
amazing songs. And the same thing goes for like, any kind of content marketing. And sometimes it's a bit difficult to get people to see that bigger picture, because like those stages, I completely agree with the stages you said. Like 12 months is really the minimum you need to give it in order to start seeing some kind of traction, and
Yeah.
then to see things grow.
Exactly, and it's and again, it'll work, and you're looking for directional metrics.
Yeah.
Content marketing, I like to think of it is it's your best second or third channel to start, right? It's like if you have, let's say, SEO working, you have traffic, and you have traffic from AdWords or whatever advertising, or even word of mouth going.
Yeah.
That's the next thing you should invest in content marketing. It can be your biggest.
Yeah.
In fact, it can amplify your AdWords. It can amplify your word of mouth, because people love education. When you make somebody smarter and
Yeah.
better at what they do, they won't forget.
Yeah.
I actually do you so I used to do well, before Web Profits. I was running marketing for a company called wheniwork.com, and it's this B2B SaaS product for small business owners. And doesn't matter even what they do, but
Yep.
we did an NPS survey. We did NPS surveys consistently for 2.5 years. Um, NPS stands for Net Promoter Score, where you ask somebody 0 to 10, how likely would you recommend this to a friend?
Yeah.
0 being the worst, 10 being the highest. Well, we did this for 2 years, or 2.5 years. Somewhere in after, somewhere between year 1 and 2, we started noticing, actually, sorry, at the end of year 1 and early year 2, we started noticing people saying good things about us in the actual NPS. Like, we asked them, how likely would you recommend us to a friend? And they're like, 10. We love your content. They're recommending our product, our business to a friend because they love the content. And then towards the end, that last 6 months, we did, and they're still doing it, but I can only speak to the 2.5 years I was there. That last 6 months, that second year total, going on to the third year, we had like 20% of people say in NPS they loved our content, and that was the big traffic driver. In fact, we got more people who said they loved our content than our product.
Wow.
And it wasn't that people would stop saying they loved the product. We still had those, but the content trumped it. And so we educated the SMB market, and the reason people loved it is because we found that people, and we surveyed them. It said we found that the small business owners we're targeting were first-time business owners. You know what first-time business owners struggle with? Everything related to business, hiring, firing, what to do with cash flow. So what do we write about? How to be a better manager. We wrote a whole book on it. How to manage your cash flow. And we even, we found that it was restaurant owners, coffee shops, and different subcategories or niches. So we created sub blogs for them too. Those didn't work as well because they're very, very specific. But they did work in terms of educating the market.
Look, I completely agree with everything that you said. Now, another thing I wanted to ask you about was sometimes with clients, you are an expert. You know exactly what to do. You know what process should be taken, and I find that sometimes when you present the strategy, sometimes it's too out there for them. They're in their comfort zone and they're just too afraid to leave that comfort zone. Have you found that experience, with some experiences with clients or potential clients?
Oh yeah, all the time, all the time.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest struggles for most agency owners, consultants, is that they are on a different wavelength, or they're talking a different language than the client can hear. No matter how much or how smart my strategy is, if I speak to you in French and you don't speak French, you're never going to get it, right? So that's the first thing. Get them to learn the language or learn the lingo or learn the approach. It's like training wheels. And it's not that they don't know what they're doing. The client, they know their business. That's their job. They don't know what the heck you're going to do. They know they have a scratch on the surface of what you do, right? So before you present this strategy, I recommend you give them information to prep them. When I talk to somebody, before we have them sign the contract, we set up a mandatory call to review the proposal. And we say, look, we are going to push the envelope. We are going to tell you stuff. And sometimes we don't tell them this because we might not go off we might not be going off the wall or random offbeat ideas. Sometimes it might be very straightforward. But the ones that we do, which is half or more, is we tell them hey, look, this is what you can expect. You are not going to see results from content marketing in the first 6 months. Don't expect it. Don't. But you will see this, that, and the other. Our ideas look crazy, but trust me, we do our research. Let me give you an example of the research we've done, and we walk them through not a case study, but here's the logic behind a successful piece of content. Trust us, it works. If you can't trust us, And if you don't trust us and you fight us on it, it makes our job harder.
Mm-hmm.
Now, no matter what I say, so this helps people get on the, it gets them to learn French. But no
Yeah.
matter what, when you learn a new language, like learn French, um, you don't understand everything immediately, right? So
Mm-hmm.
as an agency guy or consultant, you should not give your craziest ideas for your
Yeah.
first article or your first thing you do. Get
Mm-hmm.
them to trust you. I actually have a blog post coming out, I think next in 2 weeks,
Yeah.
um, or soon, on how to market with two hands tied behind your back.
Okay.
And the reason I say this is because most of my professional career, I've marketed things with both my hands tied behind my back, and it's very very hard.
Yes.
Um, Meaning there's red tape. You're
Mm-hmm.
there. You might get the decision maker. You might get the person you're working with to say yes, but the decision maker says no.
Yeah.
Or what if you get the decision maker and their boss comes in at the last minute and says no?
Yeah.
There's always red tape. There's always things you can't do. And I work with Intuit, and we work with a lot of companies in the finance space, or at least I
Yeah.
have in my career. Like everything has to go through legal review.
Yeah.
Legal has to review anything I see on the marketing side.
Yeah.
In fact, we have a couple clients that says you cannot claim you will make X amount return on your investment or
Yeah.
this and that because they're like an investment company or whatever.
Yeah.
We can't say the gains you're going to get. So what the heck is what is my headline for my landing page? You
Mm-hmm.
have to be creative, right? So what I recommend the agency or the consultant do is learn the restrictions, ask what you can't say, read the legal stuff.
Yeah.
If you work with a client in the finance space, know that there is going to be a legal review.
Mm-hmm.
So your ideas just can't be out there. Don't
Yeah.
present. That's not when you present ideas that are out there to a finance space. That's called stupid ideas. You haven't done your homework, right?
Yeah.
So um, be smart about it. And what I recommend for people is get a win, get a small win up
Mm-hmm.
front, then go with the big idea,
Yeah.
or get maybe 2, 3 wins, right? So look for that low hanging fruit, then get a win, and then go for your crazy idea. Because I guarantee you, if you get one win,
Yeah.
you knock out all the small low hanging fruit, and then you get one real win.
Yeah.
Um, and then you say, okay, look, I've never done you wrong. I see you've got results from everything I've done so far, most of what I've done so far. I have an idea for you. You're not
Mm-hmm.
going to like it at first, but sleep on it,
Yeah.
right? That's how you present it. And this is not like anything new. This is basic communication or how to run a business, but
Yeah.
this is how you get shit done
Yeah.
when working, especially with large companies or people who don't speak French, right? Like, just think about that analogy. Does a client speak the language I am talking?
Yeah.
Usually it's no. So educate them.
Yeah, yeah. There's always an ongoing need for education in our industry. Like I know that even though we're all experts ourselves, like we just always have to find ourselves learning more about clients' needs, learning more about the data, learning more about new approaches, etc. Now, another question I just wanted to ask you quickly was uh, just the use of swipe files. So before you said sometimes you can do a quick search on Google and you can see what somebody else has created, and then you can use that as a template, for a campaign. We tend to use a few swipe files just to generate ideas just from things that we've seen that's worked for us and that's worked for others. We especially look at a lot of journalist pieces that might go viral or that have done well in the past.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I was just wondering if there's any kind of approach when it comes to swipe files that you like to use.
Honestly, I don't do much with swipe files. I usually
Okay.
don't go that approach, so I wouldn't, I don't know how to use it. I've kind of steered away from like, um, you know, templatized things or kind of like sending in a bunch of information. And the
Yeah.
reason is that I want to send the right story to the
Mm-hmm.
person at the right time, and I want them to interpret or understand or comprehend the thing I'm telling them, and
Yeah.
then I'll tell them the next thing, and I'm trying to guide them down a certain experience.
Yeah.
And when I send them a lot, like a swipe file, when I send them information, it generally doesn't go. I can't control what they know, or a lot of times I find that like when you present information,
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of what's happening is information overload. It's like, I don't know what to do. What should I do?
Yeah.
Tell me the one thing I need to do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think I presented that question in the wrong way. Yeah. Let me just rephrase it.
Sure.
Yeah. Uh, one of the things that we do is we focus on like reading the data and just understanding the audience, and then we can work out, okay, clients like this kind of content, they respond well to this,
Okay.
and then we look at maybe another content marketing piece that's done well in the industry, and then we can see that they've implemented a certain funnel, yeah, or uh, yeah, they've implemented a certain set of articles, or maybe it's an ebook campaign, and then it goes through a funnel. So we tend to use those as swipe files. I don't know if swipe files is the right terminology.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
like competitor analysis, or you have like these
yeah,
documents. I get it.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah, so I usually create like a too long didn't read version of everything you just mentioned.
yeah,
I have all my like work, like when we present the strategy to
mm,
clients, like we do a lot of when we start with the client, our approach is to start with the strategy before we start to
yeah,
execute tactics and all this stuff. Like, okay, let's learn the landscape and get on the same page. And it does start a little slower, but
yeah,
during that time, we can communicate with the client, get the feedback, and we really need to know everything about it. Anyways,
yeah,
um, we do all this work. We have this like 75, it's usually the 75 to 100 page
yeah,
plus sometimes document.
yeah,
It's a PDF or yeah, PDF. Nobody wants to read 100 pages.
yeah,
I
yeah,
haven't read 100 pages in a long time from
yeah,
a report. Like that doesn't happen
yeah,
because guess what? The person on the other end is busy, but
yeah,
they do want to know something happened or there is research done. So
mm-hmm,
I start with here's the first 5 pages. Here's the first 3 pages
yeah,
of like the 15 things or 20 things you need to do,
yeah,
and it points to the things we did to find that conclusion, to come to that conclusion. So
yeah,
that's how I use it. Again, like the too long didn't read. More phrasing it a different way.
mm-hmm,
Here's a list of actionable advice.
yeah,
Here's this big paper stack of how we came up with it.
yeah,
Some people like I don't even want this paper stack, but
mm,
we found that people just like knowing that there is that, and I found
yeah,
like we always go back to that paper stack, especially like you said, I always do like a customer persona,
yeah,
um, because I find that most people, and that part I actually share separately,
yeah,
um, is like, here's a customer persona. Are we on the same page?
yeah,
Here's why we found this, and here's what I found. A lot of people just don't understand their customers that well.
yeah,
I mean, and some people understand them really, really well, and we might just not understand it that way.
yeah. Uh, you said something that well, it really well kind of touched me in a way. It it was the strategy because like we recently just acquired a whole heap of new clients, and like I've just gone and done the analysis, and I noticed that the person who was managing it before didn't put together any strategy. So they put together the goal, which was just to rank on the first page of Google for whatever keywords, but there's no strategy behind it. And without developing the strategy, you don't know what roadmap you're going to take, and it's just really important that people focus on having a strategy that will actually work and that's actionable. The other thing you said was the importance of doing either some kind of report or audit that demonstrates the quick wins or the roadmap that someone needs to take. It also helps with managing expectations. Uh, so, it's just interesting to see how some people still nowadays miss out or skip the entire strategy part of things,
Yeah.
in order to
Yeah,
just focus.
usually you can tell if people don't have the strategy and they
Yeah,
have the goal, that's a good sign that they're new to the space. They've had 1 or 2 wins. They're not experienced enough.
yeah,
Um, to like you can tell the rookies from the experts.
yeah,
Because it's one thing to have a goal, it's one thing to know how you're going to achieve that goal,
yeah,
and the next thing is you want to hire people who have achieved that goal a
yeah,
dozen times,
yeah,
where that goal is easy.
yeah. So, like Sujin, like what we're going to do is we're going to wrap up. But before we do, I want to say thank you for being on the show because like your knowledge, your expertise, what you've been doing is nothing short of amazing. But just before we go, could you just tell people like where they can find you, like maybe a little bit more about your YouTube channel, your SaaS companies, just anything about yourself and what you're doing and where
Yeah.
they can find you and connect with you.
So thank you, first of all, for having me. Very, very awesome questions. Love the conversation. You can find me on my website, sujanpatel.com. There's a contact form, probably lots of different places. So just ping me, even if you're not looking for consulting help. If you want help, I usually answer them. You'll get a response from me one way or another. Um, and I blog. I create content typically once a day. I publish content typically once a day. I write for Inc. magazine, entrepreneur magazines, Forbes. My website, the webprofits.agency website. So webprofits.agency blog. That's kind of where we're at. And once a week, I create a YouTube video on something somebody's asked me typically. It's or questions I've received, or sometimes actually the YouTube channel started with me getting asked the same question like a dozen times.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, screw this. I'm just going to create a video to answer it once and for all. And then when somebody emailed me a question, I would just email them the answer. So a link to the video. So anyways, I create content regularly. So if you have any questions, definitely ping me. And I look forward to kind of hearing from people, and I'm here to help. So my goal is to kind of share everything I know. That's something I kind of my personal mantra. So don't hesitate to reach out. And thank you, David, for having me.
Oh, look, thank you, Sujan. Everyone, you know where to find him, so connect with him. He's an amazing guy on a personal level, on a business level, and on an innovation level. So yeah,
Thank
definitely
you.
follow him, guys. All right, thank you.